Initiate chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots, sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only waits us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Only another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All above the Betty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Betty Express. In a beautiful
Hey, you guys, we are starting back on day 3. We did have one witness that I just honestly, there's a difference between, watching the case and then, giving it the respect it deserves by making sure that we have the emotional bandwidth to go forward. And even though we skipped through a lot of the first responders, it was the fact that we even had to watch these incredible, gentlemen have to come up and even talk. That was more draining than even listening to it because I think it was just the affront to my sort of very, very strong sense of justice that we shouldn't have to do this and they shouldn't. It was exhausting, but I did want to make sure that we, did check out this last witness to see if there was any cross on him. Now, I am probably going to be sticking with, my plan to essentially skim through, the state's cross if they continue to bring, first responders into it, not out of disrespect or, disregard to any of the individual first responders, but I find it gross, and I would like to respect each and every one of these first responders by allowing them to have these awful moments, be private, at least on my channel. I can't affect much, but on my channel, they don't have to share that, and we don't have to watch it. But, there is an understanding in that, we might miss a couple of things. So, going forward next week, we might get halfway through a witness, and if the state's doing nothing productive, we'll skim forward, is kind of my general thoughts on how we'll operate.
Thank you. May I have a seat, sir?
Watch yourself, please.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Daniel Dougherty, Dougherty.
And your date of birth?
8/27/1986.
Where do you work?
Duxbury Fire Department.
How long have you been with the Duxbury Fire Department?
5.5 years, full time.
All right. Now, basically, I can speed read. It's not like a humble flex. I just do it. So I'm trying to see if there's anything in there that looks pertinent, but it does seem to be just a basic recitation of the same BS that we've heard of
Beth
the
Israel
Jillian
Deaconess Plymouth medical staff?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
Attorney Reddington.
No, we need to go back to this because I have an honest to God question. Who did your highlights? They're awful. I mean, unless that's just how your hair reacted to the sun this summer, but it does appear that you spend a good deal of money to get your layers done and a keratin Brazilian blowout straightening treatment. And honest to God, objectively, you looked better with curly hair. You probably don't want to hear that. But also, if the salon charged you for whatever that brassiness disguised as dimensionality on your hair is, sue them. You are a lawyer. You have the power to at least correct injustice. I mean, it would be outside of character, but anywho, I digress.
I have nothing further.
Attorney Reddington.
me again, you were an EMT, a paramedic, or
Paramedic.
paramedic? And how long do you study for that?
2 years plus.
Would that be full-time studying, or are you working at the same
I
time?
was working at the same
Okay.
time.
Do you know on that evening what the temperature was outside?
It was cold.
Wicked cold, wasn't it?
Mid-30s.
It was lower than that, wasn't it?
I couldn't.
This is another, again, the Commonwealth is playing an incredibly dangerous game because anyone with a modicum of medical understanding is going to realize that in addition to Lindsay being in a state of shock, which gathers all of the blood to the trunk, it was also incredibly cold, which another body survival mechanism is to again mimic that and draw all of the blood to the trunk, to the core. So the fact that she wasn't obviously bleeding is not as big of a win as they think it is. And anyone with this cursory knowledge, what?
Is Dad's hat in here?
You can use your eyes. I haven't seen it. I don't know. No, Griffin, young man. I cannot wait for school to start. I love my children. I love my children. But it will be nice to close my door and assume that I can do something uninterrupted and it actually be the case.
Well, at school, they will barely see me.
It will be a cross we must all bear. We will try to soldier on.
The only times you'll hear me is in the afternoon.
Brace yourself for winter of our only afternoon feral discontent is fastly upon us. But again, these are very simple things that can be easily discredited and aren't the big win that the state seems to think they are. And there's going to come a point at which the jury no longer looks at anything the state is presenting without trying to figure out what the angle behind it is. And that's incredibly dangerous. I know Tony from A Lawyer Explains, who does all of his legal analysis without dress up. He's actually an incredibly smart, objective, and very thoughtful lawyer. So if you want to get a more, kind of in-depth legal analysis of the case, he is doing really great. And I often go to his videos the morning as I'm getting ready for everything, because I know I have emotional perspectives and biases in this case. And what Tony does is wonderfully give both sides, calls balls and strikes on both sides. And I think there is such a need for that because I know I can become very, very, set in, how I perceive a trial, especially when I feel emotionally attached to it or I feel deeply about, the underlying fact pattern. So I would recommend him. It is JD, A Lawyer Explains. Uh, he is so sweet and so kind. He is genuinely what a very kind, thoughtful, and objective lawyer. So if you want someone who's, he's not going to be, a fence sitter. He's going to call out what he likes and dislikes, but he's also going to be objective about both sides. And especially in a case like that, it's invaluable to have someone who is able to do that with kindness and grace and, good faith on both sides, which I think is really hard to find on the internet sometimes. So definitely give him a check out if and I know this is like one of those cases where once you are done with it, you don't want to pick up any videos related to it. But I find that his actually give me a refreshing perspective. I might not agree with everything he says, but it's always nice to kind of have that reset before I start the new day.
It was a
It
couple.
was really cold.
Yeah.
And how long was she laying in the snow and on the ground?
We got the call at 6-ish or whatever time it
Okay.
was. We
And the call
responded.
came because her husband came home from picking up food and found her on the ground, right?
Correct.
So you don't know how long she was laying in the snow on the ground, right?
No.
In the cold.
Correct.
And what's hemostasis? Do you know?
What's that?
What's hemostasis? What does that mean?
Just the coagulation.
And you know what the effect of hypothermia? Let me ask you, what's hypothermia?
It's just the body under temperature of the body.
Under temperature of the body?
Or your body is not at temperature that it should be.
Right, because of the environment.
Cameraman, look, I am bored as hell, and look, I have mentally zoned out because this is from yesterday. So, look, cameraman, I get it, but you have one job, and that is to stay awake.
Right? Cold, right?
Yes.
Sometimes it can be medically induced, right?
Mhm.
Hypothermia affects the blood flow, doesn't it?
Yes.
In fact, you actually have a thing called therapeutic hypothermia, right?
Mhm.
Like if they have to restrict the blood flow to either a heart or a brain or something, that a person can be induced medically to be cold,
Yes.
and it would restrict blood flow, right?
Mhm.
So all these questions about whether or not there's blood seeping through the wrist bandages and whether or not there's blood through the holes on the neck brace, you don't know what effect the hypothermia, if any, had on that, would you?
No.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Redirect.
Sir,
Yeah.
this tip
No, we're not. What is this person?
Sure.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Sure. My name is Vincent Cahill, to be Vincent. Last name Cahill, that'll be Cahill.
And your date of birth, please.
11/11/1996.
Where do you work?
I work at the Duxbury Police Department.
How long have you been with the Duxbury Police Department?
About 5.5 years.
I want to direct your attention to January 24th, 2023. Were you working that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you on patrol?
Yes.
All right. It doesn't appear that the defense did any cross of this particular witness. And again, in a strategic, objective look at what the Commonwealth is doing, there is only so much emotional stimuli that a person can deal with, whether it be sadness or happiness. There is a point at which you will burn out someone's tolerances, and for self-protection, they will disengage in however they have to do. So, in for lack of a more or a less crass term, in blowing their emotional load this early, if there is anything that they are wanting the jury to see as a bombshell after this in the trial, I think that they have emotionally overstimulated to the point of, at least in my opinion and how I would be as a juror, if I were a juror on this case, I would have emotionally disengaged. You can no longer touch me on anything emotional. I To protect myself, I am simply writing down facts. I have now tuned out. If you bring on 93 more you know, first responders, I will have stopped taking notes. And I do wonder if there is a certain level of detachment that is not being noted by the prosecution, because once you lose a jury, once they have learned to only expect emotional, draining, and irrelevant facts from you, when it comes time for you to have a really relevant point that you want the jury to really take in, first of all, they're going to suspect that it's wrong or there's some kind of angle that you are shading and you're not telling them the truth. And second of all, they have detached. You no longer can use those heartstrings. You have worn them out. So congratulations, Commonwealth. I don't again, this is an open place. While we tend to be more defense oriented on this, it it should piss you off if you believe that Lindsay is the monster that the Commonwealth is saying she is. You should be legitimately angry that the Commonwealth is doing such a poor job in this, and that they are tactically so unaware and so, unperceptive in how to put on a delicate case with actual, functional, chance of maybe getting the outcome that they want. Now, I need to be clear and transparent about something. I don't know where I stand as far as what punishment, what justice looks like for Lindsay. It changes every minute. And I don't envy I I don't envy the if this were an actual trial to figure out the very legal complex and both, righteous tinged with mercy punishment that should be appropriate for this, if any, if that was the trial I was watching, if we were watching what do we do and how do we do with this? Where is, does this require punishment? And, what does that punishment look like? There is a functional conversation and a righteous one that I think could be tinged with mercy. But in all things, we are supposed to, again, to go back to historic roots and how the court was actually set up in our nation, Judeo-Christian foundation, everything, justice, punishment, everything was supposed to be tinged with mercy. And you don't have to like Lindsay. You can think she is a monster, but you can have general mercy and human compassion for the situation. And I have seen none of that displayed by the Commonwealth. So strategically, if not morally, you should have a problem with the way this case is being presented.
All right, members of the jury, talking to counsel, there's a couple of issues that we have to kind of hammer out and get done. And rather than have you wait around, I'm not quite
If
sure how
I
long that's going to
only
go.
had a
I'm going to
hammer.
excuse
Come on. Who doesn't love some Peter, Paul, and Mary?
you for the day. All right. As I told you, sometimes the schedules don't always match up what I tell you they're going to do even a couple hours before. So I'm going to excuse you until tomorrow morning. All right. And so tomorrow morning, the plan is that we're going to go on this view. And I'll explain it a little bit more in detail tomorrow. But
Free the First Amendment, we are catching up on the tail end of yesterday. I am kind of running this trial, especially with it being kind of emotional. And, yeah, I have the funny brows because I'm making fun of HTC, crime and the mulatto. But at the bottom of this, there are a couple things we don't do if you're new here. We never, ever mock the victims or the baseline human tragedy at the end or at the bottom of each of these cases, but we will be snarky. We will make fun of trauma vultures who decide to be clout goblins and insert themselves into trials where they have an opportunity to give, if they only had the ability. They had the opportunity to, give an insightful and humanizing view of this trial, regardless of whatever side they were on, and used it to try to enrich themselves and clout goblin off of someone else's human human suffering. There are a lot of things that I find, irreverent and you can poke fun on or poke fun at, but we never punch down and we never make fun of human tragedy here. So,
Just so you can kind of picture it in your head, I'm going to ask you to be here, to be ready to come out here at 9 o'clock. I'm going to address you, probably ask those same questions. Then I'll give you a little bit of information about the view. I'll give you an instruction. What the view is, we're going to go to a couple of areas. You're going to be able to get out and look at these areas. The lawyers will be there. They'll be able to point out what they feel is significant. And at that point, we'll then come back. We'll consider continue with some of the testimony. We may end up a little bit early tomorrow as well in regards to the schedules. And at that point,
now looking ahead, it does seem that court has already adjourned for the day. Uh, That's with me trying to now, I say that with a grain of salt because I am trying to keep up with the trial, look at chat, and, check Twitter to see what's going on in, actual today trial, so I might be scrambling those a bit, but I do believe that, court has adjourned for today.
talk to council, kind of see where we are in regards to the overall schedule, but it's my impression that we are ahead of schedule at this point. So I just kind of wanted to let you know that. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow morning rather than have you sit here and just kind of wait in regards to that. So I'm going to excuse you till tomorrow. I'd ask you to be here at 9, check the weather, but you'll be on the view.
Now, Denise, I was actually going to ask Nick that from tonight, probably before we go on on for a panel, because I did wonder, and it might be something that I have to look up because obviously there might be different kind of statutory things between EU courts and American courts. I would think that any medication she's on would have to be, as a result of, psychiatric care that she's getting from, the Department of Corrections, and I would think that she could be medicated, but I also don't know if she would then not be or would be precluded from testifying if she is under, you know, um, psychiatric medication. How do you change the eyebrows to look like The Rock? Are they more just I don't watch wrestling, you guys. Is it I mean, now that's a look. Or, I mean, we do have a whole assortment of eyebrows, you know. I love that we do tangents. It's called therapy, and the fact that I don't wanna go no, I'm just kidding. Um, it's called avoidance and dopamine recharges. I'm trying to find my stash of stashes. Ah. I actually just had to order more of the, eyebrows because they're basically fuzzy stickers and, but I think, for next week, I am going to be taking this, very inappropriate, and I will not be putting up to my face, mustache for obvious historical reasons, Charlie Chaplin. But I will be, cutting this in half to make Angry Bird eyebrows, because I have decided to just go on a full semi-valid, brow journey during this trial. And again, of all the things that I ever say, the most ridiculous or valid things I say, I will only be remembered for my eyebrows, and I am A-okay with that. All right, let's get into current trial day. Sorry, for my neurospicy friends, I forgot to warn you because you might have seen me do the full body startle. Yes, for some reason, and possibly to just traumatize those of us who live in a rural area, um, they do decide to pound the gavel 3 times in this. And also, I will be turning her down, but, the clerk in this trial, is the long lost BG brother. Her falsetto is alternating, I mean, at the same time, incredibly fascinating tonally and also makes me want to crawl out of my skin. So I will be turning her down after I let you guys hear her so I can be proven right.
Yea, all persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court now sitting in Plymouth, within and for the Commonwealth. Draw near and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have the continuation of
What is that voice? And I am sorry, I know this sounds incredibly mean but honestly, she's probably a really sweet person, and I could never be friends with her because she hurts my earballs.
the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington.
Actually, she's gotten her voice is deeper today. It's not as painful. I commend you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the 37,000 comments I left on everyone's streams.
The Commonwealth is represented by Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham and Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. So what I want to do is first I'm going to ask you those questions, make sure everybody was able to follow my instructions, and then I'm going to discuss a little bit about what we're going to do today in our schedule. So first off, the first question is: any member of the jury read, seen, or overheard anything from any source that would affect your ability to be a fair and impartial juror in this case? All right. Next question is:
Now, if you are new here, reality is sometimes boring, and I don't suffer. I am entertained by the fact that I have coined and self-diagnosed and discovered what I like to call uh, current humor insertion syndrome. So if things are simply too boring or I will not be paying attention, I will add humorous backstories to keep me entertained while also um, not zoning out. So this man has had a hard life. He was the illegitimate and never officially recognized love child of Jerry Springer and Phil Donahue. But y'all, this man, like Dolly Parton, he done pulled himself up and became a judge. And we love him. But he did have a really weird origin story.
is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror in this case? Anybody needs to bring to my attention? All right. So again, thank
There he is with those final thoughts, that Phil Donahue, checking in on people. I'm telling you.
you for following those instructions. And so what I want to do is just talk a little bit about the next part of the trial, which is the view. You hear people talk about it. Now, I already kind of blew my cover when I said I couldn't control the weather. I would have taken credit for the
I am not mature enough to cover this man's phraseology. But phrasing, Your Honor.
fact that it's a beautiful day today, but I already told you I couldn't control that. So, but a view. So let me explain kind of what a view is. Give you this.
You sit upon a throne of lies. I was reliably told that you controlled the weather by the voices in my head.
Very brief instruction in regards to that. Members of the jury, you're about to visit and go by a number of places that you've heard testimony about during the trial. And the terminology we use for that, as I've said, is a view. Now, the purpose of the view is to help you better understand the evidence that you've heard and will hear during the trial, and to help you appreciate the location, the surroundings about these different areas. All right, now, the view that you're going to take is part of the case. The observations that you make while on the view may be used by you and considered by you in your deliberations in reaching a verdict. So you can consider what you're about to see during the course of the view. The places that we're going to go to in this case, we're going to drive to the CVS that was described. I'm not going to get out, but we're going to see where that is. Then we're going to drive by that restaurant, 3V, I think it's called, in Plymouth. So we're going to drive there. Then we're going to go back to the home, which is at 47 Summer Street. And you'll have an opportunity to go inside the house. You'll go in there with the court officers, the lawyers, myself. And because we've got a large jury here, what we're probably going to do is break it up into maybe 3 groups of 6. All right, so we'll take 6 and we'll all go down, we'll look at different areas. The attorneys will point out certain things they may want you to take note of, but you can look at everything as far as just view it. When you're in there, you're not to do any independent research, you're not to kind of open up drawers or open up doors or anything like that. So the attorneys will give you an opportunity, we'll give you an opportunity to just kind of look around and view that. And so after that, you're not to return to the scene. In other words, after you do this, you're not to go back if you have these unanswered questions or anything like that. You're not to go back. This is your chance to see these areas in this residence. All right. Like I said, you can consider what you're about to see as part of the evidence in the case. Now, during the trip to and back from these places, you're not to discuss the case or anything about it amongst yourselves or with anyone. When you're coming back, you're not to discuss on the bus, hey, we saw that, or did you see this, things like that. That's, as they say, that's verboten. All right, you can't talk about that on the way to and from. And so, as I indicated, you're going to be under the supervision of the court officers. I'd ask you to follow their instructions carefully. They're very experienced in doing these, and so they'll help you kind of go through this and set up, break up into those groups. And so, just so you know, the one group of 6 will go into the house, the others will stay on the bus. Okay, and when you're on the bus, you're not to discuss the case either. Geez, I can't wait to see this or that. None of that. All right, it's probably pretty obvious, but I just kind of have to kind of go through those instructions with you. And so what we're going to do now, I'm going to excuse you so you can kind of get yourselves together. We'll bring you back down on the bus. Myself, the attorneys will join you there, and then we will, I think we're going to go first to the CVS and that restaurant first, and then second we'll go to that address in Duxbury. All right? Okay, thank you. Oh, geez, I got ahead of myself. I'm told we have to swear in the court officers, so I apologize.
Will the court officers please come forward and raise their right hand? Do each of you solemnly swear that you will take this jury upon the premises in question and then suffer them to view the same or any property, place, or thing?
No, you had the right word, suffer. You got it. Stinger Bell, we finished up the last witness from yesterday. It was one of the paramedics that transported Lindsay Clancy, and the defense got out that there could have been multiple different reasons for the lack of, gushing blood from the wounds at her wrist and neck. Then we came over to current time or current day, and they are swearing in the court officers to get ready for the kind of redundant view that they're doing today.
Bearing upon the issue in this trial, as they shall think necessary, that you will not permit the parties to enter into debate within the hearing of the jury, nor any present to speak to them, unless it be Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague or Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham on part of the Commonwealth and Attorney Kevin Reddington on part of the defendant. And they only to point out such places and things that they deem expedient for the determination of the issues, and that you will keep this jury together until they shall return to the court unless the court shall otherwise order. So help you God. Thank you.
All right, so we can take them. Thank you.
All right, please.
before the view? All right, Council, so we'll be in recess at this time to resume. As soon as we come back from the view, we'll resume the trial. Okay, thank you.
All rise. What's in recess, please exit the courtroom.
All right, let's see. Then we have a blank spaces. We've got the seal. It's been a riveting day in court. I see why we needed to go on the magic school bus with Miss Frizzle and Arnold, but this could have all been handled in an email. Oh. Do.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hi, thank you for that. Ready for the jury? Como?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hi, defendant? Hi, let me bring the jury in.
This court's now in session. Please be seated.
Your Honor, for the purpose of the record, we return back to the trial of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. All parties are present, including the defendant and including all 18 jurors.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Members of the jury, we're now going to return, as I told you before, to the Commonwealth's case, and I'll ask the Commonwealth to call their next witness.
The Commonwealth would call Mark Anthony Mafia to the stand.
While we're waiting, you want to just, for the record, same objection and standing
All right.
objection, so
All right.
that keeps.
Shizzy, you could have told us I wasn't going to leak this. He's just a wee fella. This is Mark Anthony. You know, history. I always thought Cleopatra went for tall people. Okay, that's enough short jokes. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. He's fun-sized.
Thank you, sir. You may have a seat.
All right, good morning, sir.
Your Honor.
All right, Attorney Buckingham, please.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Could you please tell the jury your first and last name, please?
Yes, Mark Anthony Mafia.
And how about
Because I hear Mark Anthony, and I think of the weird-looking guy that Jennifer Lopez was married to for a while. Whew, okay. All right. All right. Serious. We are serious adults here. Do not be lured in by the fact that it's a Friday and you legitimately could not make this funny shit up.
spelling your last name for the purpose of the record?
Maffeo.
And where are you employed, sir?
Duxbury Police Department.
How long have you been a police officer?
12 years.
And has your career been with the Duxbury Department, or did you work anywhere else?
I worked in Rockland and Cohasset prior to Duxbury.
So how long have you been at Duxbury Police?
Coasset.
9 years.
9?
Yes.
What's your current rank or assignment at the Duxbury Police Department?
Patrol sergeant.
And I'm going to draw your attention back to January of 2023. What was your assignment then?
A detective.
Were you working on January 24th of 2023?
I was not. I was called in to work.
Okay, so who contacted you?
At the time, it was Detective Sergeant Jamali.
And is that the normal course in Duxbury when a larger incident or investigation occurs, that sometimes you'd be called in to work a scene if you're not on shift?
Yes.
And Detective Jamali, where did he tell you to go?
Initially was reported, I believe it was 42 South Summer Street in Duxbury.
And so do you recall if you went to that location?
I did.
When you arrived there, was the scene still active, meaning there were still kind of ambulances and everything on scene?
Yes.
Did you go into the house?
Not at that time, no.
Were you advised when you arrived on scene that one of the parties was being sent to the South Shore Hospital?
Yes.
And so as a result of that information, what did you do?
I was then tasked with going down to South Shore Hospital.
Actually, this one might be interesting because my little spidey sense perked up. If you remember back to the defense's opening statement, one of the things that the defense got very, very indignant about, and logically it makes sense, is the fact that they had Lindsay, again, paralyzed medical coma Lindsay under armed guard. Now, I just like logic to be spoken. I like 50 Shades of Logic. Call me, don't kink shame me. 50 Shades of Logic is all I'm asking for. So we might actually be in for a very confrontational cross because this defense attorney has he is in full fuck deficit. Fair point, Boosh. I didn't think about that. About the way the Commonwealth is handling this case, especially when they have always desired to stipulate to all of the kind of pertinent facts and get into the why this happened.
Now, when you went to South Shore Hospital, did you know the party that was going to be transported there?
Yes.
Who was the party that you were going to meet?
I was advised it was one of the homeowners, Lindsay Clancy.
And you later became aware that the home at 47 Summer Street was the home of Patrick and Lindsay Clancy, correct?
That's correct.
And again, you were also later made aware that they had the 3 children.
Correct.
Were you advised of where the 3 children were?
Yes,
And how about the husband? Were you advised of where Patrick Clancy was?
I was.
As far as the people transported to South Shore Hospital, you came to learn that only Lindsay Clancy was sent to that location, correct?
That's correct.
Did you expect somebody else to be arriving there?
Initially, before I had left the residence, it was a little bit of confusion. They thought that the husband was also being transported to South Shore.
And at some point, were you later advised that that ambulance was turned around and sent to Beth Israel in Plymouth?
Correct.
So when you were at the South Shore Hospital, did you have an opportunity to observe Lindsay Clancy?
I did.
In what condition was she when you observed her at South Shore Hospital?
She appeared sedated and unconscious with several lacerations to her arms and neck.
And thank you, Blinky. Don't be a Blinky or Binky, sorry. I added an L. Remember to like the stream. I always forget. I have to go back and do it. Even when expert like the Friday night live stream legitimately on comments says like, press the like button. I will have to go back sometimes on Saturday and like it because I cannot follow directions.
I have no objection to the photograph.
Ooh, that was
May I
weird.
approach the witness?
You may.
I'm going to show you 4 photographs real quick. If you could take a look at those.
Yep.
photographs?
I do.
And were you present when these photographs were taken?
I don't recall.
Okay. As far as the condition that the person in these photographs was in, do you recall this to be a fair and accurate representation of what she looked like?
Yes.
I would ask to move these as the next four.
All right, those may be admitted.
Two words. For the love of Lemmy.
Sir, Exhibit 110, screen beside you.
Now, I am actually shocked, and I will be going full screen. That's just typically my jam is that, and I am shocked because this is not the first trial where we have seen more graphic things being shown on screen that when I was first starting to stream trials, these would not have been up there. The one trial that I'm personally aware of is the Paul Canero trial. I do try to put myself up on screen, but if you're going to watch that trial just from Law and Crime, do be aware that only for Keith Canero, but some autopsy photographs are shown, and I didn't realize they were going to do that. Um, so, but general rule is more CSI than Saw. So,
I'm showing you now what's been marked as Exhibit 110. And who is the individual depicted in this photograph?
Lindsay Clancy.
And those are the injuries that you observed that day of her on her neck?
Correct.
And showing you on the screen what's been marked as Exhibit number 111. Again, is that Lindsay Clancy?
now I will say from the photographs, you're not, for lack of a less crass term, you're not looking at a Glasgow smile, kind of situation. There are superficial wounds on both sides, but it does get much lighter in depth towards the front or anterior part of her neck. It's more the sides, which makes sense. If you have any sort of medical knowledge, you're going to understand that some very vital veins and arteries are located there. So, look, I'm not a doctorologist and I'm not a particular fan of graphic photographs. Blood tends to make me want to pass out. So objectively, they're not the worst wounds I've ever seen, but I don't think they were done without a intention, if that makes any sense. I don't know. I'm not a genius. Um, and I'm not a medical doctor or an expert, but to try to give you guys a fulsome picture, it does look like there was intention behind them, but to what level of actual intentionality there was, I can't gauge. I think so, but I also think that, the combination of her also taking a lot of, medications in order to make sure the job got done, so to speak, I think could have also decreased her, her ability to manipulate objects, her dexterity. So, um, no, she did try, uh, and when the state and the Commonwealth, and I've said this before, so I hope you guys won't get tired of this, but the terminology superficial wound uh, only talks about, going through the top layer of fat, the superficial layer of the dermis. It doesn't mean kind of the colloquial term superficial. It simply means that it didn't go into the muscle. So there are there is a sort of slight deceptive, there's a sleight of hand that the Commonwealth, and we heard it with Hank Brennan too, uh, when, he would purposely talk about superficial wounds on John's arm. What he didn't mean was that they were inconsequential. No, superficial to a medical, person means that it only went through the top layer of the dermis. So it is a bit of a sleight of hand if you don't know medical terminology. Um, that being said, I'm not an expertologist. They don't look fake to me. I guess too long didn't read. They don't look fake to me, but I'm not an expertologist.
Yes,
And the injuries that you observed on January 24th on her neck.
correct.
And 112, exhibit 112, in the middle of this photograph with an arm extended, there are some cuts in a cut in the middle. Did you observe those on January 24th as well?
I did.
And finally, exhibit 113, that would be the other arm. Did you observe those cuts to that arm?
Yeah.
Now, some of the allegations that these were not real cries. Now, some of the allegations about this being more fictitious or manipulative, as far as these more superficial cuts go, is that the ones on her wrists are in the wrong orientation by so-called internet experts. If she were really intentional of about ending her life, now I the way the Commonwealth is running this case, I wouldn't be shocked if their level of experts are some rando from, some sort of Reddit group, but I'm not an expert, and I don't know all about all of this, but she's paralyzed. I mean, at what point are we trying to look for meaning in superficial cuts? This all seems unnecessary and completely not germane to the real question that we all want answered, which is why.
Now, in addition to observing her at South Shore Hospital, did you do anything to collect potential evidence that day?
I did.
And what did you do?
I gathered, I believe they were already had been removed from the hospital staff, clothing, pants, shirt, I believe it was a scarf, and wedding bands.
Okay. May I approach again?
You may.
I'm just going to show you 7 photographs if you could take a look at those. Are these 7 photographs familiar to you? Are the items depicted in these photographs familiar?
Yes.
I'd move to admit these as the next exhibits, please.
Any objection?
I have no objection to any of the photographs.
They may be admitted.
Come on, do words. Let's go. Hustle.
It should be 114.7. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Reporter.
Now, sir, the items that you then collected, you said that they were provided to you. Who gave them to you?
It was one of the hospital staff.
Okay, and so in examining those, you would agree that those items have been cut off of the individual.
Correct.
And so After taking custody of those particular items, did other law enforcement arrive at South Shore Hospital?
Yes.
And who arrived?
Trooper Lawler from the Mass State Police and Officer Lepard from the Duxbury Police.
And again, you had been at the scene at 47 Summer Street, correct?
Correct.
And then you went to South Shore Hospital. Were other members of the Duxbury Department at the Summer Street address and at other locations during the time you were at the hospital?
I would believe so, but I'm not positive.
And were you aware that the state police had become involved in this case?
Yes.
And based on your experience as a Duxbury officer, do you sometimes work in tandem with the state police on certain types of investigations?
We do.
Or is it more of a tantric situation asking for sting?
And so when Trooper Lawler arrived at the hospital, did you turn over these items to him?
I did.
Now, in the time that you were at the South Shore Hospital, did you have the opportunity to speak at all with Lindsay Clancy?
No.
In the time that you observed her, was she responsive at all?
No.
I believe it was several weeks. And they haven't even gotten into her injuries. And that is, I think, something that the defense is going to have to be incredibly delicate with, because I do understand that her injuries were catastrophic. So, I'm not saying ignore them completely, but there's going to have to be a delicate way to present that in a way that doesn't seem offensive or gross, because at the bottom line, there are 3 children who are no longer on this earth. And while I can extend a large amount of sympathy to Lindsay, I still find 3 children not being here worse, regardless of how or where we decide to adjudicate guilt and responsibility. So it will be delicate and it will be interesting to see, but her injuries were catastrophic. She is obviously paralyzed, and it's a long list of, injuries that she did. So not only will it be interesting to see a very competent defense attorney bring this up, but I foresee the Commonwealth again fumbling this in the future by giving no sympathy. So it will be interesting to see, because there is a certain amount of sympathy that you need to give to this. And it will be interesting to see, the 2 different sides of the coin. Will the defense come off as too sympathetic, and will the Commonwealth come off as not sympathetic in the least? She is paralyzed, I believe from the torso down, though there were some significant injuries in her cervical spine, but it does appear that she's able to move her arms. So that indicates to, a non-medicalologist like me that the actual break is somewhere further down in her torso.
Was she in custody at that point?
I would say yes.
Well, let me ask you this. As far as when a person is placed in custody, you usually advise them that they are, correct?
Correct.
I don't hear him saying that he's not sure. His answer was yes. Right. I understand what the government.
Sustained.
When your department has somebody in custody, is it protocol to have an officer stay with that individual?
Yes.
And in this case, was somebody assigned to stay with Lindsay Clancy?
Yes.
At the
Now, here is a competent way to explain that this is protocol. This is the one of the few times where I think the Commonwealth, can say, okay, but isn't this protocol? Because, and if they hadn't been such incredible douche canoes, this would have been a good point in their favor. But the fact that they are so uniquely unsympathetic, the jurors might not be paying attention. Again, this is the risk you run when we're on the 37th first responder.
time you were at the hospital, was that your role?
Yes.
At some point, did someone else from your department come to keep watch?
Yes.
Who was that person?
I believe it was Officer Lepard. I know Officer Broderick was also assisting. I can't recall if he arrived at the hospital as well.
Okay, but you recall Officer Lepard?
Yes,
And once the scene was secured at South Shore Hospital, did you leave?
I did.
And where did you go?
Back to the address in Duxbury.
And that would be 47 Summer Street, correct? I think you might have said 42 at one point.
You're right. Yep. 47 Summer.
And at the residence at 47 Summer Street, did you assist other Duxbury officers in securing the scene upon the arrival of the crime scene services?
Yes.
Were you present when the Massachusetts State Police Detectives Unit executed a search warrant at 47 Summer Street?
I was.
And was that kind of later that night into the early morning hours of the 25th?
Yes.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Counsel?
Could I see the exhibits that were just introduced? I'm sorry.
No.
Morning. Since you were at the hospital at South Shore, if I could.
Sure.
Is that what Lindsay's condition was when you went in the hospital and saw her laying in bed?
I don't recall those being on her legs, but I'm not 100% sure. But other than that, yes.
Other than that, yes?
Correct.
So I would offer that, Your Honor, if I could.
Any objections?
May we approach?
Sure, yeah.
Interesting. Now the only difference in that brief picture that appeared was the size and it being a poster board. The other picture that was flashed up was on the Elmo. So I wouldn't functionally they're basically the same thing. So I wouldn't see what the issue would be other than the jury being able to get a clearer picture.
You at some point had a chance to take a look at her face, I imagine, sir.
Correct.
Is that fair and accurate depiction?
Yes,
And she was unconscious at that point, was she not?
that's correct.
About this, Jim.
All right, that may be admitted.
And this, you said that there was some cuts on her wrist.
Yes.
That's a fair and accurate depiction.
Correct.
And cuts on the neck as well.
Correct.
And from the other side, right from the front.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right, those photos may be admitted.
Thank you. And I'm just showing you another exhibit. This would have already been introduced into evidence, and this would be Exhibit 112. And this would also depict the area of the wrist. Is that correct?
Correct.
That was likewise, Exhibit 111 also shows the cuts on the neck. Is that correct?
Correct.
And they're basically the same pictures, but zoomed in more, and you can see more detail. Sorry, I didn't get that, but there is separation of the skin. So this isn't like a paper cut. You know, and again, I'm not an expertologist or a medical person, but superficial does mean something different in a medical context versus, kind of a colloquial context. Are we showing more pictures?
Now, when you went to the house, you were a detective at this point, correct?
Correct.
And obviously, you're working in tandem at this time with the state police. They were also investigating, right?
Correct.
But you were the detective for the town of Duxbury.
One of them, yes.
One of them, okay. And one of the things council had asked you about was the clothing that Lindsay was wearing, and it was cut off, right?
Correct.
So I'm just going to show you and ask if this appears to be a fair and accurate depiction, rendition of, for example, one of her items of clothing.
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know that, so I'm just going to just make sure it's in, that's all. Does that show that there's blood on that item of clothing?
Not that I see.
Okay.
No, now I can with my real eyebrows. But no, not with the fake ones. And despite the look on my face, they have had the viewing where they drove past the places that Patrick drove to and then saw the house. And we are on to another first responder uh, witness. Uh, I believe this might be an item of clothing, a t-shirt or something. I can't quite figure out the way they're holding it and because of, cuts, what it could have been in real life. But, um, this is supposed to be depicting something that they cut off of Lindsay. And it's just going to be very interesting to see how the Commonwealth continues this case. I don't know why we're bringing all of this in when the defense has been more than willing to stipulate to all of this.
Was there some type of residue of paint or something on the clothing, if you recall?
I don't recall, no.
No. Did you notice on the pants?
I don't think it's body wash. They are in the hospital when these photos are taken.
Any blood on the jeans? Well, if you recall.
I don't recall, no.
How about the, I guess it would be the top that was worn? You notice any blood on that?
No.
Was there a bra that was cut off, if you recall?
Yes, there was.
And the blood seeped through the clothing into the bra itself? Is that correct?
Correct.
And that would be obviously from outside the clothing and then into the bra that was being worn, right?
Correct.
That would offer these, Judge?
Any objection?
They're already in evidence. They've been marked, so I don't see this necessary to mark them again. They're the same photographs.
Well, I'll trust the representation there in evidence. I don't want to
Right.
blow the court. So if they're already in evidence, then that's good
I
enough.
just
for me.
admitted them through.
Yes, her laying in the snow could have, and that was brought up by the defense with, I believe, the last witness yesterday, who was one of the paramedics. Consideration of, the temperature outside being cold and kind of the approximation of the amount of time that Lindsay had actually been outside, both in with internal trauma in the torso and um, internal bleeding, along with being in shock and then being exposed to cold temperature. Any wounds on kind of her extremities or limbs may have stopped bleeding just because with shock and hypothermia, your blood tends to pool in your core.
Sergeant Murphy.
But the bottom line is that you do agree that there was certainly blood on the interior and exterior clothing that she was wearing, right?
That's correct.
You'd also agree, sir, that there was blood in the area from the outside of the backyard directly underneath the window. Is that correct? Do you agree with that if you remember looking at it?
That is correct.
This way. The ground, the snow, and the leaves that were underneath, of course, there were a lot of people walking around, but you could see the blood
Correct.
directly underneath the window, right?
The back window.
The Notice blood that was on the window sill itself on the second floor, one mark on that window ledge.
Yes,
You also noted blood that at some point had gone onto the two shingles that were in the area underneath that ledge, underneath that window, right?
correct.
And off of the blood on the floor, on the ground with the EMT documents.
No objection.
All right, that may be admitted.
Thank you. Now, the state police went and got a search warrant, right?
Correct.
And you were there when they were searching.
Correct.
You guys were helping out. Obviously, it was a group effort to search the house for relevant or material evidence, right?
Correct.
Now, one of the
Yes.
things that was seized were pill bottles. Is that right?
Correct.
You know why they were seized?
I do not.
Did you seize any pill bottles?
I do not.
Were you there when the state police seized the pill bottles?
I was.
Do you recall that the pill bottles were seized from, for example, in the kitchen? You opened up a cabinet and they were right on, a bunch of them lined up on a shelf.
I can't attest to that. I wasn't
Okay.
present for that.
Why don't I ask you this? Where did they get the pill bottles from?
You'd have to ask them. I wasn't there when they seized the bottles.
You weren't there. When
I
they
wasn't
seized.
in that room. We were in
Okay.
multiple rooms at a time.
So I may stand corrected. I'm sorry. If I thought I asked you if you were there when the state police was seizing the bottles, and I thought you said you were.
I was in the house, correct.
In the house, but
Yes.
you weren't there when they were seizing anything.
Correct.
How about up in the bedroom? Did you go up in the bedroom?
I did.
Did you observe the blood on the floor?
I did.
You observed when you went in the bedroom, it was very cold.
Interesting.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Because the window was open, right?
Correct.
And when you went into the bedroom, you made observations as a detective of certain items, such as, does this appear to be a fair, accurate rendition of the floor, blood drops on the floor?
It does.
In the bedroom.
Yes.
Is this a indication of the bed itself, the right side of the bed, additional blood that was located on the floor next to the boots?
Yes.
It's live long and prosper. I can do that, but I cannot write in cursive, and I do not understand K-pop. I don't mind if K-pop is your jam. I am glad you have a jam. I just objectively do not understand it.
Does this appear to be the nightstand that was next to the bed?
It does.
And do you see what's on top of the nightstand?
Yes.
What's on top of the nightstand?
There's 2 cups, a knife, looks like a jar or something, and maybe a clock.
Okay. Also blood drops?
Correct.
This is a additional photograph moving farther down towards the right.
Well, I mean, okay, when I say cursive, I mean beautiful girl, like elegant calligraphy cursive, not my inelegant doctor scrawl. I was always hoping that I would like be magically gifted with a really elegant girly handwriting, but no, I look like a madman trying to, write his manifesto.
Right side of the bed.
Correct.
This is a close-up of the knife that was on the nightstand, as well as the little cup that was there, and something that says deep sleep pillow spray. You see that?
Yep.
And that was on that top of the furniture, correct?
Now, I know it is the logo on the cup, and because of the background of the case is so jarring, but do take notice of the interior of the cup. Not only did Lindsay cut her neck and wrist, she also took, I believe they'll get into the cocktail that she took, but a lot of the medications that she had been prescribed to also ensure that her self-deletion went forward. So I know it's not an easy picture to look at, but I do want to let you guys know about those certain things.
Correct.
And this again is an area depicting various items of clothing. It looks like a little headband, a wire, perhaps to charge a phone, and blood on the floor.
Correct.
And this shows the location of the bed. Additional photograph of the blood towards the end of the bed and also the area of the window, right?
Correct.
What off of these, Judge?
No, back to that photograph.
Can I see counsel in regards?
Also show a different angle, but basically the boots that I already showed you and the blood showing that the blood kind of follows through along the edge of the bed, the furniture, and then up to the.
I don't know what happened to the sound.
Was there also, like, if you recall, one of those full-length mirrors?
I don't recall.
No.
Okay, let me see if I can switch to court TV. I don't know if it's a law and crime thing or it's a court TV thing. But let's. Okay, this one sounds clearer. I don't like their placement of the headers, but this does sound clearer. Sorry. So this should be easier to hear. Oh, crap.
Sure, yeah, if you want to do that.
You at some point had a chance to take a look at her face, I imagine, sir.
Correct.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction?
Yes,
And she was unconscious at that point, was she not?
that's correct.
About for this judge.
All right, that may be admitted.
And this, you said that there was some cuts on her wrist.
Yes.
That's a fair and accurate depiction.
Correct.
And cuts on the neck as well.
Correct.
And the other side.
Maybe. Okay. No, I think we've already been through this part. It was another. Yeah.
The window sill itself on the second floor, one mark on that window ledge.
Yes.
You also noted blood that at some point had gone onto the two shingles that were in the area underneath that ledge, underneath that window, right?
Correct.
Cut off of the blood on the floor, on the ground with the EMT documents.
No objection.
All right, that may be admitted.
Okay, we are. I knew we were farther than this. Okay. There's so many sidebars. I can't navigate to the side barrage.
That may be admissible. That may be admitted.
Just for continuity, this also show a different angle, but basically the boots that I already showed you and the blood showing that the blood kind of follows through along the edge of the bed, the furniture, and then up to the wall.
Correct.
Was there also, like, if you recall, one of those full-length mirrors?
I don't recall.
No. I don't.
All right, any objection on that? All right, those pictures may be admitted.
Thank you. So you had nothing to do.
Hold on a second, counsel.
All right.
Just gonna mark these.
Now, I will say that we are noticing a bit of a different Lindsay, and it can be read many different ways. Lindsay does appear to be more focused and alert in court today, but that's obvious. That can be so multifactorial. Um, it seems like we are moving more into her own personal injuries and not her children. I imagine when we get to, where medical doctors and other witnesses have to talk about her children, we will see a return to her being much more emotionally distraught. Uh, and optically, as a defendant, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Her showing emotion when the 911 call was shown, I have seen it alternately perceived as heartbreaking and incredibly calculated and manipulative. So, you know, depending on which side you're on, Lindsay can, do no right or, you know, things will always be interpreted wrongly. So, I do observe that she is, more, engaged and alert, but my take on that is they're not talking about the incident, itself, and, uh, they're more getting into her part, which she has never challenged, in this case.
127 through 135. Snark.
So you had nothing to do with the seizure of any of the pill bottles, sir?
Correct.
And you don't have a memory of looking in the cabinet in the kitchen and seeing a number of journals or spiral-bound notebooks and books?
Correct.
Was that pretty much the extent of your involvement with this case that night?
That night, yes.
And you really didn't get involved with any further investigation on this matter as far as seizing evidence, except for what you've testified to, right?
We did seize, I located a laptop in the hallway closet,
Okay.
and that was, I believe, seized by the state police as well.
Okay. Anything else you recall? How about, do you remember when you guys were searching or you watched the state police searching, did they open up raw to the nightstand that was next to the bed with a number of pill bottles in it?
Again, I wasn't present when that was taken, so
And again, I do try to be balanced. If I can't imagine how upset I would be if I truly were on the side that Lindsay has calculated the absolute lackluster 10% of a half-assed job of investigation. They didn't look in the nightstand. They just, decided to build a case on the pills that the husband voluntarily brought in. This would this would piss me off if I were on the other side. The fact that, basically they did such a piss poor job on such an important case.
I can't attest to that.
How about Apple Watch? No?
I don't recall.
Thank you.
Okay. Attorney Buckingham, any redirect? Sure.
Sir, when you were at the hospital with Lindsay Clancy, with the defendant, were the medical staff in the emergency department actively treating the wounds to her neck and her wrists?
No, they were not.
And when you came back to the home at 47 Summer Street to secure the scene and wait for crime scene services, nobody went into the house that didn't need to be there before crime scene services, correct?
Correct.
In your experience, is that normal?
Yes.
And so were you present when any of the photographs that were shown to you by defense counsel were taken?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So your testimony today about those photos is your best memory of what the scene looked like at that time?
Correct. Yes.
And as far as your role in the search warrant execution, fair to say there were quite a number of state police, Duxbury officers, as well as crime scene troopers on.
Massachusetts, explain to me the lip smack. Explain to me. I don't want to paint with a broad toothbrush, but I've only heard it in New England trials and specifically more the Karen Reed trial. But stop. Stop for the love of all that is Lemmy and, Getty, uh, from Rush. Please, please stop. Stop with the lip smacking.
Scene in the house during that. And each person, did they have their own kind of role in what they were doing?
Correct.
And did you kind of stay to your area?
Yes.
And you indicated that you only found a laptop in the first floor closet, correct?
Correct.
And so any of the other manners in which the rooms were searched, you were not a part of?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further.
You didn't have to stay to your area as a detective in the Duxbury Police Department, did you?
Correct.
So you were able to go and assist with the search and go into the different rooms and look for potential evidence, right?
That's correct.
And do you remember approximately how many Duxbury police officers were in or about the house, either outside, on the porch, on the deck, in the house, downstairs, upstairs?
I don't.
Would it be more than 10?
No, I wouldn't say more than 10.
How about state police? You remember how many there were of them?
No.
So all told, when you consider that, the sheriff's department wasn't there too, were they, if you recall?
No,
Okay.
they were
Sometimes
not.
they send them to take pictures.
No.
I don't know if they, okay. Would you agree that there were probably more than 10 officers from state police and Duxbury police that would be doing this investigation?
Correct.
All right. A number of police cruisers, and then you have perhaps, just asking, the yellow tape,
Yes.
crime scene, don't pass it and all of that.
Correct.
Now, if I was, for example, to show up and pull up in my car and get out, and they're not going to let me wander in the house and look around, are they?
Correct.
I mean, that's just for law enforcement officers only until they clear the scene.
Correct.
That's after they execute their search warrants and find whatever evidence is relevant, in their opinion,
Correct.
that they seize, right?
Yes.
Once the scene is clear, then people are able to go back into the home, right?
Right.
And you don't know, I would imagine, when they cleared the scene.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Anything on that?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your
Sit
Honor.
down. Thank you. Tree Buckingham.
Oh, Richard Lepard.
Thank you, sir. You may have a seat.
Please.
That woman, clerk, now I would like to tell you that I myself have often been tempted to go to the stylist and tell me and show them a picture of, well, multiple eras of heart and explain that I want that. But we're in a brand new, bright, shiny future. You do not need to have bangs and spend what I can only assume is a small fortune on Aquanet. You can go out with just straightened hair. Consider it. Because I understand the Barracuda Magic Man temptation, but that's a lot of teasing. Don't do that to yourself.
Thank you, sir. You may have a seat.
Please.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, sir.
All right. Tree Buckingham, please.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please?
I am only seeing Lurch from the new Addams Family, and this is not appropriate. Damn it. Damn it, Friday. You are trying to entrapinate me. I am trying to be a daggone adult.
Please tell the jurors your first and last name.
Richard Lepard,
And can you spell your last name for the record?
Lippard.
And how are you employed?
I work for the Duxbury Police Department.
And how long have you been?
When I'm not doing off-Broadway revivals of Willard. What in the Marty McFly? His face is reminding me of someone, but it's Peaky Blinders. That one guy, Killian Chase. Oh my God. Don't lose any weight. People will think that there has been a zombie apocalypse.
A police officer.
6.5 years.
Have you worked for Duxbury the entire time, or did you work someplace else?
The entire time.
Sir, I know that this is probably just you being nervous, but this is going to annoy the hell out of me. I want to show you something. The microphone works from here, but if I just project a little bit, I don't have to do this. If you just project a little bit, I swear to God, that microphone will pick it up.
What's your current assignment at the Duxbury Police?
Patrolman.
Back in January of 2023, were you also on patrol then?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you working the day of January 24th, 2023?
Yes.
At some point while you were on shift that day, were you asked to assist in an ongoing investigation for an incident that occurred at 47 Summer Street in Duxbury?
Yes. I was called back in.
You were called back in?
Yep.
Had you finished your shift?
Yes, ma'am.
And so where were you asked to go?
To the police department.
When you came to the police department, where did they direct you to go as far as the investigation went?
South Shore Hospital in Weymouth.
And so when you arrived at South Shore Hospital, was there already another Duxbury officer there?
Detective Mafia was there.
Okay. And what was the purpose of you going to South Shore Hospital?
To overwatch the person in custody.
Okay. And did you learn who that person was?
Yes.
And fair to say that individual was a woman by the name of Lindsay Clancy, correct?
Yes.
What were your observations of her when you were at South Shore Hospital?
She seemed to be sedated, not speaking or anything on the hospital bed, just laying there.
I'm glad that God bless him. I know that he doesn't mean to be funny, but he's like, yeah, she was unconscious. She wasn't speaking or nothing. Again, random things strike me as hilarious, and I don't even know how to explain it other than that just struck me as funny at the moment.
And excuse me, when you were there or during the time that you were there, did you ever have any conversation with her?
No.
Did she remain unresponsive during the time that you were there?
Yes.
And were you also
Commonwealth, legitimately, why do we have Forrest Gump up here to testify to guarding an unconscious suspect? And why are we asking when we've already established that said suspect was not conscious? Why are you asking if they had conversations? What are we doing here, Commonwealth?
there when somebody came in and took some photographs of her?
I do not recall.
Oh, he's handsome, but then he smacks his lips. And he has this sort of deer in a headlight look that I would just I feel like I want to protect him. I don't like yes, like symmetry wise, his face is very handsome, but I just feel this maternal instinct to like help reunite him with his mom. Because he has this face like, excuse me, ma'am, I lost my mom in Walmart. Can you help me find her? And I'd be like, yes, 36-year-old gentleman, I'll be your temporary mom. Let's go find your wife. And I'm sure he is a functional human being, and we mean this all in good fun, sir. But legitimately, that is how I would interpret and handle you in any situation.
Were medical staff tending to her during the time that you were with her?
Yes.
Where in the South Shore Hospital was this? The emergency department or someplace else?
Emergency department.
And shortly after you were there observing her, did she or did the doctors indicate she was going to be transported someplace else?
Yes.
Where was she going to go?
That she was going to be med flighted to the Brigham in Boston.
And other than yourself or other law enforcement and medical staff, did anyone speak with her at the South Shore Hospital?
No.
And when you, when she was transported to the hospital in Boston, did you go along with the transport?
Yes.
Do you remember how she was transported?
It was a med flight helicopter.
So you rode in the helicopter with her?
Yes.
And when you
Did it make the the helicopter noise, you know, the Did you hear the music from MASH playing as you were taking off? What are these questions? Legitimately, I wouldn't be shocked if the next one was, did you pretend you were in MASH when the helicopter was taking off? What's your theme song, for helicopters? What's your favorite one?
Arrived at the Brigham in Boston. Where did she go there?
She went to the emergency room.
Did you remain with her during that time period?
Correct.
And was there anyone else with you at the Brigham with her?
See, and this is why I am not a witness, because I swear to God, if you ask me dumb questions, I will give you dumb responses. Where did she go? Well, I assume not the laundry room. Given that she was critically injured, I'm going to guesstimate that they took her to the ER.
Officer Broderick.
And so the two of you were, what was your role?
Just to overwatch and stay with her.
At any point when you were with her at the Brigham, did she ever, was she ever awake or responsive?
No, not to my knowledge.
And how long were you at the
Are you currently awake and responsive? Are you with us in the room? I feel like this man is having an out of body experience. He looks so incredibly uncomfortable that I just want to pat him because that is my big bear hug in Mo world. But he just looks so incredibly uncomfortable and also handsome. So I want to help him. But he also just sparks nothing but maternal care in me. So I just want to help him find his mom.
Brigham with her?
About 15 to 16 hours.
Okay, so fair to say it was over the course of that night into the next morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Over the course of the night into the next morning, do you observe her medical status change?
There was some type of medical code during the nighttime. I'm not sure what it was.
Okay, but you were present in the room when that happened?
Yes, we were outside the room.
Outside?
Yeah.
Yarnwork crafts, that is just stupid enough to be real life, and I swear to God, it might have been the Commonwealth's, plan. At this point, given the investigation that failed to discover the carefully hidden drawer full of medications, I'm getting a little bit. He's the comatose whisperer.
And the next morning, when your shift concluded, did somebody else from the Duxbury Police Department come and relieve you?
No, we figured she was pretty much a human baked potato at this point, so we let Larry, the janitor, take over. I mean, he's semi-crippled too, but we figured he's faster than her. Again, there's a reason you don't put Mo on the stand because when in very, very anxious states, I will revert to, I'm going to match your energy, and I will simply say the first thing that pops into my head. That is a gentle reminder for all of you that do not put me in a position where I might have to be called to testify um, in your aid or detriment.
Yes.
During the time that you were there, did anyone besides medical staff or the law enforcement officers that you were with interact with the defendant?
No.
Again, who is going in there to try to interact other than possibly the terminally unself-aware Jess Machado to get an exclusive, interview? Jesus wept state. I am trying to make it at least 2.5 hours today.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Mr. Reddington.
Morning.
Morning.
Afternoon. So, a young man working for the town of Duxbury, and you were detailed to the home initially, correct?
No, sir.
You didn't go to the house at all?
No, sir.
Okay, you went directly to South Shore.
Correct.
And when you were at South Shore, your purpose was to, as you say, overwatch. Well, that basically is she was in custody at that point, right?
Correct.
So one of your obligations is to, I guess, guard the unconscious person and make sure to do what? Just to stand there?
Correct.
Okay. And you did in the South Shore Hospital, right?
Yes, sir.
And you made your observations of her, bandaged or whatever, laying in the bed, and she was not conscious, correct?
Correct.
And at some point, the decision was made medically that they were going to have her med flighted to the Boston Hospital, Brigham and Women's, right?
Correct.
And that was by way of the helicopter.
Yes, sir.
You had a helicopter ride into Boston with her, right?
Yes, sir.
You were overwatching her in the helicopter again, right?
Yes, sir.
She still had not gained consciousness at all.
Correct.
She wasn't talking to you or medical staff or anybody, right?
Correct.
She was already had the tubes and stuff in her mouth coming out, and she was bandaged up and wrapped up and basically laying down in the gurney in the helicopter, right?
Yes, sir.
So when she gets to Brigham and Women's Hospital, they bring her into the emergency room, right?
Yes.
And that room was loaded with equipment, boxes, wires, tubes, buzzing beeps, lights, things of that nature, right?
Yes.
Life-saving equipment that was in there, right?
Yes.
Very small room, wasn't it?
Yes.
Kind of hard to maneuver.
There was enough space for the medical staff to maneuver.
All right. And how many police officers were overwatching the unconscious person while she was in the emergency room at Brigham and Women?
2.
That would be you and the other officer from Duxbury.
Yes, sir.
At what point did the state police officers arrive in the hospital?
I don't recall them coming to the hospital.
Did you ever see state police in the hospital?
This is such a me thing to do. If I know, look, it is not kind, and I only do it if you have thoroughly annoyed me or the mispronunciation that you made uh is a really funny word. So only on those two very distinct situations will I do this for evil. But yes, if you are a dipshit to me, if you are condescending or disrespectful in any way, and then you have a slight, and I do mean infinitesimal, pronunciation or vocabulary slip, I will never, and I do mean forever, like full, sandlot, never let you live it down. Don't be a jerk around me. I try to use my powers for good. But yes, I would never let this man live down Overwatch.
Possibly at South Shore Hospital, but not in Boston.
So you're in Brigham and Women's off of the helicopter into the emergency room for a day. Is that correct?
Correct. 16 hours.
Did you go back there again after that day?
To South Shore Hospital?
No, Brigham and Women's Hospital.
No.
So you're limited to the time that you were there as to you and your brother officer were there in the room with her, correct?
Yes.
And a number of nurses and doctors, right?
Yes.
Fair to say it was chaos. It was like bedlam in that room, wasn't it?
Yes, very busy.
And you don't remember any other police officers? How about internal police officers from Brigham and Women's Hospital? Do you recall them being there?
There may have been security, but I do not recall.
So is it your testimony that you do not recall any other police being in that room?
Well, and this is also to highlight another point, and I think that it's a very big disservice. Again, from a strategic standpoint, for the Commonwealth to not accept and the reality that even chronic conditions, so even if you have been diagnosed with, say, depression or anxiety or autism, you're going to have good days and bad days. Even chronic conditions that are lifelong are not linear. They're multifactorial, and there are so many different things that can affect, even someone who's had something like me for 5 years, there will be things that have always worked or always triggered, and just when I think I have all of those down and I've got my little Dumbo feather and I'm flying right with my chronic illness, the feather stops working, or, the feather means I only fly left. So there is this unwillingness to see that mental health or chronic conditions aren't the caricature that, you're sitting in a corner, in a dark corner crying in the fetal position, or that every day is your worst day, or I saw you walking yesterday, so you don't have X, Y, and Z, or you were smiling yesterday at the party, so you obviously aren't X, Y, and Z, or my favorite, but you're smiling. And, I haven't seen you struggle with X, Y, or Z. And, that's this is the hard part of the case for me, because I do know what that masking looks like. So I get that I do have a theory in this case, and I do believe that Lindsay was masking. Now, what that means as far as what a punishment, what a righteous and, a righteous verdict and punishment tinged with humanity, compassion, and mercy looks like, I don't know right now. I can't even say what that looks like in my own head, let alone to pontificate it. So I don't know what that looks like. But I do know that society's unwillingness to go beyond the caricature, but then give lip service to mental health not being a stigma is incredibly confusing. And at the end of the day, I just want any mom or any person who has ever felt alone to know that they aren't alone in this. And I think that the Commonwealth is doing a great disservice to any mom who might be wanting to reach out, because I don't wanna cover another trial like this. I'm incredibly heartbroken that 20 years on from Andrea Yates, we are having another case like this. And 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 I'm incredibly disappointed that, 2 women who have had years and years of education are doing such a piss poor job in the name of respecting 3 small victims who they seem to only care about when they're using them to beat the jury over the head with, the horror of what happened.
Room or outside the room when you were there?
Correct.
Now, at some point, police were detailed, if you know, to sit outside the room to guard the door. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what were you guarding against?
Objection.
No, overall.
Anybody coming to visit?
Right, because nobody was allowed to visit, right?
Correct.
And then while you were there in the early morning hours, about 2:24 or something like that, there was, as you said to the jury, a code, right?
Yes.
And again, that.
And I think that if I can side tangent again, if you'll allow me, Mo, in the deep end, it's so weird to me because we seem to stigmatize some mental health issues. And then at the other end of the spectrum, we seem to, there does seem to be a tendency, and I try to give people grace and good faith at the beginning of everything. And I do think that there is a tendency that maybe if you receive a diagnosis or you've been late diagnosed, that part of the way we process is it does become our personality for a bit because we're trying to understand ourselves and we haven't had the right tools or understanding that our normal was normal for the brain we have, if that makes any sense. Um, but I think there's also, and this has been my other problem with mental health, and I think the bigger issue with the stigma is that mental health can be an explanation, but it should never be an excuse. And I had a really big issue with the Tanner Horner defense using autism in such a gross and disgusting and manipulative way. Because if you've done any cursory, research on autism, then you know that there isn't a correlation as far as documentation in an increase in violence, homicidal ideations, or injuries to others. Now, there can be unintended, meltdowns where there are injurious behaviors either to yourself or someone else. Amott and Bailey, yes, it's a very, very here's the other part I find very upsetting as a person who enjoys the logic and strategy. It is such a weak tool. It's an emotional manipulation. It's lazy. Yeah, this is an incredibly difficult case to try to navigate from both sides, the Commonwealth and the defense, but there is a way to handle it with grace and righteous fury. We should be angry. We should be upset. We should be passionate that at the bottom of this, there are 3 children that are no longer here. But it can be presented with mercy, with sympathy, even if it's feigned, is their case is going to go over better. The way they are presenting this honestly leads me to question whether they are trying to blow this case. Because from where I'm sitting, and I know we're only 4 days in, I do not see how they get 3 counts of premeditated first-degree murder. And like I said, I I haven't even processed what I think innocence or guilt or punishment, if there should be a punishment, looks like. Because I don't know what that looks like. And I want to wait for more facts and evidence, but I'm getting exceptionally pissed off at the Commonwealth when they continue to bring out facts like they're the smoking gun, and it only takes, 5 seconds for Attorney Reddington to show that they shaded it, they interpolated it, the image was, flipped, and to put it into context, and that is so annoying. So annoying.
Kind of amped up the bedlam at that point, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
There were people running from all over, and you could hear on the microphone code blue with the room being identified, right?
Yes.
And that meant that she was dead or dying, right?
Yes.
Now, this is interesting because I do believe that when Lindsay was able to be consulted, she requested a DNR. If you are not aware of what a DNR is, it's a do not resuscitate. So, if a code blue happened, basically they would do nothing to intervene. Now, I find it interesting that that happened, but part of me thinks that Lindsay is living in a hell of her own creation and mind, and wherever you put her, she's going to be serving a life sentence, and I know that sounds too little, um, for the people that really want her to pay. And if I could offer any comfort, to those people, she is paying. In my opinion, and I'm not a doctorologist, uh, I believe she is medicated, Weoni, but I don't think it matters where, in the end, you put Lindsay. She is never going to escape the hell that she is living in right now, and I don't say that, to say that I don't say that to, undermine the people who desperately desire to see, some sort of atonement. But when I tell you that there is no greater hell than living in a body that no longer respects any rules and a brain that uh that plays the worst moments over and over for you, and I can only imagine that that is what she's living with. She doesn't need to be behind bars. I'm not saying that she shouldn't be behind bars, please understand me clearly, but I don't know what punishment looks like beyond what she is already doing to herself.
She was chained to the hospital bed too, wasn't she?
I do not recall her being handcuffed.
You don't?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you recall when you left?
The Brigham, sir?
Yes.
The next morning around 10.
Now, guys, we do tend to do things on our own special pace, and let me see if he has gotten the stream up. But Expert is going to be doing a stream and giving us updates on our friend the baker. So we will probably cover this last little bit tomorrow, but let's be real, you guys. We go at our own pace here, and I would much rather hear that my friend is okay. So I will be sending you guys over there. Thank you for understanding, but you know, we go at our own pace here. This is an incredibly rough trial. And it's a marathon, not a sprint. This is going to be a 6 to 8 week trial. If we have to catch up on the weekends, we will. Or if we have to do an occasional night stream, we will. We are just going to be kind to ourselves as we do it. That being said, thank you guys so much for joining today. The brows will continue until morals improve. Also, they're hilarious. And I appreciate you guys so much for hanging out with me. I am going to send you over to Expert because 6 children does not a strong bladder make, and I can go get a quick bite to eat before the stream starts. But, give Expert some love. It is, and I can only speak for myself, you guys. So, don't say this is only for, me and not for Expert. But it's incredibly hard if you've lost someone recently or ever to uh, even rationally, if you know that your friend's going to be okay. Hospitals can be incredibly scary places. I went through it with Mr. Mo this year for his unexpected gallbladder surgery. And hospitals and our loved ones being sick can be a unique kind of fear. Uh, if you've had the unfortunate, circumstance of joining the grief club, it's kind of like, you know, your worst nightmare possibly coming true, and it's not super duper easy. So be kind to our friend Expert. I can't, he hasn't said these things to me, but putting myself in his shoes and having lived through the experience fairly recently, I can tell you it rocks you, and uh, it's not easy. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. He's goofy, and sometimes we forget that because he's so goofy and funny, that he feels things really deeply, and he's got a big heart. So I will see you guys in a little bit. Thank you so much for joining. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness, I'm sorry, no longer equals doormat. Bye, you guys.